people. This agenda hurts people. It makes electricity and energy more expensive. It means that the people who are on the lower economic scale, rings of the ladder spend more of their income on just basic filling their tank and paying their utility bills. And nobody seemed to care about that except for us and maybe a couple other stragglers.
Well, the other thing too that was, and forgive me, Tom, this is my favorite talking point from my whole career with you guys, was that it was the same weekend that William Nordhaus wins the Nobel Prize, the economics version of it, for his work on climate change. And then the UN releases its IPCC special report on limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And Nordhaus is, given interviews in the New York Times and stuff, and they're asking, hey, do we still have time to limit warming to 1.5 C? He's like, no, I think unfortunately, that horse has left the barn, blah, blah, blah. His own work showed that would be such a draconian, stupid policy. It would be better if the governments did nothing rather than try to limit warming to 1.5 C. And yet he didn't volunteer that in the interview. And thank goodness, you know what I mean? And it was just amazing to the chasm between, and also the last thing too, I'll say on this is that in the beginning, when I, first joined with you guys and was really getting into this, the thing was follow the science, and people would point to the peer reviewed, blah, blah. And then when, I started pointing out that I think it was a combination of we learned more, but also the activists just kept pushing the envelope. And at some point, even the interventionist economist guys like William Nordhaus or whatever, their models could only justify a modest carbon tax. There was no way you could possibly justify that this makes sense. And so at that point, the activists said, oh yeah, guys like William, you can't trust these economists. Their models are crazy. They threw them under the bus. So I don't know if you want to react. Yeah.
Two things. One, I will say your work was instrumental in preventing the United States from imposing carbon taxes. I'll just say that flat out.
Wow.
But also, it's not about climate change. It's a dogmatic political, sort of strategy to, pad the Democratic Party. Environmental groups have moved so far away from what their intentions were when the movement sprung up, when we had Silent Spring and we had, the Cuyahoga, whatever, the Lake Niagara Falls. We had all these point source problems in this country, and they were very real and they were very harmful. And the United States has done more. Your point about if we did nothing, we might as well do nothing. Even if the government does nothing, we get better outcomes anyway.
Right.
If you look at all the criteria pollutants, the stuff that really makes you sick, the NOx and SOx and things like that, we have more people, more cars, more GDP over the last 25, 30 years. And yet we have trace amounts of these toxic, things in our air at the exact same time. We've had all of this economic development. Wealth is health. And that's why we're so strident about sort of taking a free market approach to these issues, because we get the efficiency gains, we get the resource, and we get better environments. Because if you have wealth, you can distribute that wealth in a way that goes beyond just meeting people's basic needs.